What is happening, baby? Welcome back to the Huddle Chat Sports Network's very own Fantasy Football Huddle. I'm your host, as always, Dallas Clark. Today we're powered, as always, by DanklyfeBrand, but also by Let's Talk Sports and Shank It Golf Brand. Thank you all so much for tuning in to today's Stardoms and Situms video. If you didn't know when you clicked on the video, that's what you're watching right now. We're going to be doing the Week 3 Stardoms and Situms, as always, starting with the quarterback. So let's get all this out of the way. Fill up your cup, roll something up, and smoke them if you got them. Let's get right into the waiver wire, ladies and gentlemen. So start at quarterback this week. He has been featured on the Stardoms and Situms, and we were right about him. Very first game of the year, Jared Goff from the Detroit Lions. Multiple touchdown passes at home in 9 of his 10 last games. He's playing a weak-ass Atlanta Falcons defense, and this should be a very high-scoring affair. If you want to know any more of the Jared Goff love, take a quick gander back at Week 1 Stardoms and Situms when we told you to smash him into your starting lineup, and it paid off for everybody that listened to us over here at the Huddle Chat Sports Network. I mean, we were right on Brandon Ayuk Week 1. We were right on Jared Goff Week 1. We were right on Daniel Jones Week 2. We were right on Sam Howell Week 2. Now, we have been wrong a few times, but the good news is we have been right a lot more than we have been wrong. So hopefully we are not wrong on the sit at quarterback of the week, which is going to be Trevor Lawrence. And it's not really just going to be based on the fact that he's coming off of a terrible game last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. Houston Texans, believe it or not, is not as easy of a matchup as you would believe that it is. They've only allowed 16 passing touchdowns since the beginning of last year. They've only allowed 1 passing touchdown throughout the first 2 weeks of this season. They actually have more interceptions than touchdowns allowed since the beginning of last year. It's not a good matchup for quarterbacks. And Trevor Lawrence, both times he played Houston last year, 3 interceptions, no touchdowns, an average of 215 yards per game. I don't like Trevor Lawrence this week. Stay away from sunshine. Now, running back has been absolutely, let's just say it and be brutally honest, fucking terrible this year. It's been disgusting. It's been putrid. It's been absolutely hard to stomach. I don't think I've ever seen running backs in fantasy football be as terribly consistent at being terrible as they have been this year. So I have a couple of running back starts for you. Number 1 is going to be Kyren Williams. Obviously, he's going to be not on the waiver wires anymore. As we told you to pick him up off the waiver wire a couple weeks ago, you should have listened. And if you did listen, start him this week. He's getting huge volume in that Los Angeles Rams offense, and he's been extremely efficient. He's the number 2 running back in fantasy football points per game total, behind one and only Christian McCaffrey. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, Kyren Williams is your number 2 running back in fantasy. It's not going to stay that way all year, but this is a great week for him to continue that trend. Speaking of somebody getting a ton of carries, but I am sitting this week, is going to be James Conner. The Cowboys allowed 89 rushing yards, not last week, but last week and Week 1 combined. It's a combined 89 rushing yards for the first 2 weeks of the season. And they played Saquon Barkley, Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook in those first 2 weeks. Nobody to sneeze at whatsoever. It's going to be a negative game script for James Conner. The Arizona Cardinals are going to get beat down bad, a bully beat down for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, typically the running back position is going to be volume over matchup, which is why we're going Kyren and why we're going Isaiah Pacheco, but the volume shall not save James Conner this week. Another start of the week for me at the wide receiver position. Now moving on to the pass catchers. I've talked about him before. I was right once, and I was right in between. It wasn't really a boom. It wasn't really a bust. It was just something you wouldn't be disappointed with. But Michael Pittman Jr. from the Indianapolis Colts, by golly, if you're not starting him and he's sitting on your bench, what are you doing? The Baltimore Ravens have allowed 11 plus fantasy points per game to 4 different wide receivers in the first 2 weeks this year. It's a great matchup, and it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Michael Pittman Jr. is going to eat I think he's going to have an absolutely amazing game. Maybe not as big as T. Higgins' 30 points per game against this same defense last week, but I definitely think you're not going to be upset starting Michael Pittman. Staying in the same game, I'm starting Zay Flowers against the Indianapolis Colts. If you thought the Baltimore Ravens were a good matchup, look at the Indianapolis Colts allowing 13 or more fantasy points per game to 5 different wide receivers. I hate saying that shit as an Indianapolis Colts fan, but it's the truth. Also, no Odell Beckham Jr. Running back room is thin. This boy Zay Flowers, this may actually be his breakout game this week. I'm excited about Zay Flowers, but I'm absolutely all of a sudden not excited about Courtland Sutton. I'm staying away from Courtland Sutton. I did pick up Russell Wilson in one of my leagues. I'm thinking about starting him this week, but Courtland Sutton is not going to be a great beneficiary of Russell Wilson's decent game this week. He had a ton of volume last week, and he's got a bad matchup this week. Plain and simple. It's going to be a matchup-based decision. At the end of the day, Courtland Sutton, if you don't have a better option, you may want to start him. You may have to start him. He's going to be the kind of player that the risk is going to be higher than the potential reward. Take that information how you will, but I'm staying away from Courtland Sutton. Rounding off this video, as we always do with the tight ends, I'm starting another tight end that I've talked about before on this channel, on the starters and sit-ems this season, Jake Ferguson from the Dallas Cowboys. He had 7 targets in week 1. Like I told you, he's going to get a ton of volume in this offense with the hole that Dalton Schultz left, with the amount that Dak Prescott loves to throw to the tight end. Jake Ferguson was going to eat. Week 1, he ate. Week 2, he scored a touchdown. What more do you need to know to start Jake Ferguson? I got one more for you. The Arizona Cardinals are an absolutely great matchup for tight ends. They've been allowing tight ends to just run through them for almost a decade at this point. About 4, 5, 6 years, the Arizona Cardinals have been allowing tight ends to just run through them like a bunch of hoes. And now that trend is continuing, and Jake Ferguson is going to be a fantastic tight end this week. However, Juwan Johnson from the New Orleans Saints, I'm staying far away from. I expect Taysom Hill to get a ton of playing time. If you're going to start a Saints tight end, you might as well start Taysom, because this is going to be the last time I think you can do so with Alvin Kamara coming back this week. Taysom Hill's going to get a lot of running action, and you look at Juwan Johnson not getting a ton of volume over these first few weeks. I think when this offense becomes more normal, getting Alvin Kamara back in the lineup in the straights, it's going to be a better game for Juwan Johnson. But Juwan Johnson, I'm going to give him a couple more weeks with Alvin Kamara coming back before I really start talking about giving up and dropping him to the waiver wire. But this week, stay far away from Juwan Johnson. That's going to be it for us today here at the Huddle Chat Sports Network. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm going to see y'all next time. Keep your chin up and your attitude down. But don't forget to tune in to Sunday mornings, 9:30 Mountain Standard Time, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. Going to be doing a live episode covering a few of the last-minute injury updates, like Jalen Waddle not playing tomorrow. We got big news for you just like that. We got advice. We're going to be answering all y'all comments. So tune in, drop some comments, and have a good time. Drink your coffee, smoke your blunt, whatever you do. Wake up with your boy, and let's get another win this week. We're going 1-0 this week, y'all. Chin up, 2 down. I'll see y'all next time. Later.